What's up? What's up,
What is
Chris?
up? What's going on, man? What's going on, Chris?
Nothing much. I'm excited because this is our first podcast. We finally started this show,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It came
Long,
into
long
fruition.
time. Yeah.
Long time planning, right?
Mhm.
All right. So basically, I feel like, what do we want to do? Like, let's give a high level, like who we are, like introduce, like, who are you? Of course, both our name is Chris, but like, what's your
Yeah.
background?
Yeah. So my background is digital media. So I currently work as a creative content strategist. But to put it into simpler terms, I do motion graphics. Like what I love the most. I find it a good balance between getting to do filmmaking, 3D design stuff. Motion graphics is where I landed, and it's just what I love to do. So I get joy of helping people tell their stories, whether it's with a product launch, a live event, or if it's a storytelling component. Getting to do that through motion design is just something I love doing.
Yeah. So Chris is a dope motion designer, graphic designer, and me,
Appreciate that.
I'm a content creator, digital marketer. So, of course, I like to say a digital marketer, content creator, strategist. I do a little bit of everything besides motion design, only text. I know my strengths and I'm going to stick to those. I've been learning product design and using UI, and I said I wasn't going to, but I have, and I actually like it, but I'm like, okay, you got to be cut off somewhere, right? And then basically give you guys color. Like Chris and I used to work together on a past job, and I work with a bunch of different like freelancers. And Chris was helping me like spearhead some projects together. And then we both figured out, well, I already knew this. So I got in contact with Chris through LinkedIn and found out because Chris is went to Full Sail. And
Yeah.
if you are a Full Sail alumni, definitely connect with us on LinkedIn, Instagram, all of that. We got to stay strong, guys, in our
Yes. Please
community,
do.
right? We got to network. Like people got to network. People just like let networking just fall short, or I find people when it comes to networking, like they're very transactional, and you never know when you might meet somebody or you need something or something is going on and you want to be invited. So that's the power of networking, is just being in an ecosystem and being connected with people, and you never know where opportunities and relationships you might build. But we both went to Full Sail
Absolutely.
during different times. I got 2 degrees from Full Sail. I did my entertainment business and then digital marketing. And Chris, what did you go to Full Sail for?
I went to Full Sail for digital arts and design. I think it's still called digital arts and design.
Yo,
Yes. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. It
I
was.
went back on the website, matter of fact, and I was like, would it be a advantage to go to school now and learn some of these new tools? Because they are integrating like AI stuff into the curriculum now. And I feel
Yeah.
like maybe it's a little bit more advanced, but then we need to do a podcast episode just dedicated to Full Sail and our
That part.
experience.
Yes. Absolutely.
But would you go back
Absolutely.
now?
See, I don't know. I get this question all the time. If I had the opportunity to go back to Full Sail, would I? And I think in some cases, yes. And then other cases, no. Like I,
Mhm.
in particular, went to Full Sail, like at the time I did, I already knew a lot of the technical stuff.
Yep.
So wasn't so much that needed to go to that particular university to learn like the software.
Foundations. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So for me, it was more so, hey, this is an opportunity to be on this campus and actually network. So do what I can to take advantage of that. And honestly, no, for the what you're paying in tuition, most people are like, man, that's crazy. Why would you go to school and pay all that money to network? Well, if you think about it, like it's the relationships we have with people,
Mhm.
and the connections we've made that help us land our jobs, that help us get our next business opportunity, or heck, it may even be your next business partner. You don't know.
Yep.
So like that's what I'll say that like Full Sail probably did for me. What I enjoyed about it most. So to answer your question, I would say to yes with some caveats. Like if you're specifically going to learn going there for foundation only and you aren't really considering networking, I would say maybe take some time beforehand to learn some of the softwares, learn some of these tools so you're aware of what you're getting yourself into. I like to think of Full
Mhm.
Sail as training for the Olympics. Don't go in blind, go in knowing a little something and expect to
Mhm.
be networking with people. So yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I think if the curriculum, which I know has been updated, like if it's definitely getting some insights into like what's going on now, even
Mhm.
though AI hype is hype, Like there's some
Yeah.
good and there's some negative to it. But I think like right now I wouldn't want to go back. But ultimately I would like to teach and do like some guest teachings there for
Mm,
marketing and stuff. But it will be fascinating in this time and in this age. I think that some people who've been like, if somebody's been out of school for 10 years and they're not staying like up with the trends, I think they should consider going back to some type of creative and studio school just for like a certificate. Now, you can learn this stuff outside of school, but if you
yeah.
need that structure, I think they should because often sometimes I find with working with professionals that they need a refresh. Like they don't know like how to do some of this stuff. And even now this day, I know you could speak on this part. Like designers now, before there was a time where people could come in and they can just say they have one skill. Right. And they're
Mhm.
just good at that one skill. The market is not, I'm not going to say is not, I'm going to say yes. 85% of the chance, most of the jobs you have to, they want you to have two to three major skills. Like, not, they want you to do two or three positions. And, like, for example, I was telling like a graphic designer 4 years ago, like, hey, you should learn motion design because like companies are going to demand motion design, especially with the whole gifts and all that stuff. You've seen that trend going that direction. And people
Yeah.
were like, graphic designers, like, I'm not learning motion graphics. I'm not learning motion graphics. And I'm like, well, if you're a graphic designer, you either need to learn motion graphics or you need to learn social media. So which one is it going to be? Because you can't just
Yeah.
say, I do graphic design anymore. Most of these companies want you to do both, like
Yeah.
motion design and graphics. Now, some companies are, you'll have the pleasure of not having to do two, but now the market be demanding you to have like 4 or 5 skills. You're like, wait, I know
Yep.
my dad sent me something, Chris. It said, it was like, hey, they looking for a director of marketing and you have to know how to code and for websites. I was like, that is not a marketing function. Like coding is
Yeah.
not in marketing at all. And for them to say that, they just want a whole jack of all trades. And I could see if you ask for all of those like niche things and skills, and then you're paying top dollar, it wasn't even paying top dollar. So it was like,
Mm.
yeah, that's no.
Yeah, like it's understandable for some of these companies or people that are making the hiring decisions to want somebody that is, I guess, multidisciplined, right? So if you are, like you said, if you are a
Yeah.
graphic designer, it would you
I
got it though,
almost
you
dropped
got
it.
it.
I did.
But like if you are a graphic designer, it makes sense to not just be focused on, hey, I'm only designing for magazine layouts or
Yeah.
billboards.
Mhm.
Nothing wrong with that, especially if you are really strong with, maybe you are just like a graphic designer, but if you're really strong in helping redesign brands, that may be one thing, but you may want to add in that web component, or you were like a just a graphic designer and then you have that web component and app design component. That
Mhm.
is kind of really helping a lot of designers now because we've seen the rise of things like Figma that have come into play, so
And now vibe coding, everybody's creating
vibe
their
coding,
own.
absolutely. So yeah,
It's
I think
crazy.
it's being multidisciplinary designer is key in this day and age. You can't just do one thing. Now, with that being said, some of these job descriptions are a little ridiculous. Like you said, being a marketer, like a master marketer, you're expected to be a marketing director and also be a senior level motion designer, all while having experience in Unreal Engine or
Mhm.
you know, it's like, hey man, these are separate skills and departments for a reason,
Yep.
so you can't expect to get all in one, no matter how much money you think or feel should be thrown at that particular, like, I guess that title, right? Or
Agreed.
you wrapping all of these into one title. So yeah,
Yep.
I will say that.
Yeah, I think I always tell people this, like for me, I think having experience is gold, right? To be able to speak within the room, right? Know what's going on, but you don't need to be a pro at this stuff, right? But I think the
Right.
exposure is just knowing something. So that's kind of like helped me explore more, in the marketing realm and design realm and stuff and see all those things. But coding is not something I really want to get into, even though my brain does work like that.
Mm,
I know I'm already in too much in marketing. So for me, it's like, I'm not getting into that because I want to be really, really good at all these other things, not like that. And for me, I love strategy. So I need to stick with that. So I guess this will be a good conversation to kind of have like basically talking about personal branding in 2026. Like, what does
okay.
that look like in your realm of things, Chris? Like, as you're building your brand and stuff, like, what are you seeing now and that people should consider having What is a portfolio, right, to you?
So I think that like, having a portfolio or personal brand just helps people get to know you a little bit better, especially as all this stuff has moved to social platforms, whether you're using TikTok, Instagram, heck, LinkedIn, it all like we're all on some sort of social platform
Yeah.
and
Yep.
operating within those, whether it's finding out it's trending, whether you're sending each other gifts and memes, it's
Mhm.
think even some of that kind of stuff plays into some of your personal brand too. Like what type of person are you? It just helps people to get to know who you are, you're about, side of just I guess like maybe your the kind of work you do. Because we all want to be able to connect to something. So, like for instance, yes, with a lot of motion designers, you may have some that specifically do or 2D animation where it's like got this like kind of like really cartoony kind of vibe and really bright
Mhm.
colors. And maybe that speaks to that particular person. So that when brands or companies that associate with some of that stuff, they can say, hey, you know what? Oh, this person is doing this here. Let me go in and look at their portfolio to see how they align or, where this kind of fits into what we're wanting to do. Or even if maybe it is something that is a little bit different, like I guess
Mhm.
brand wise, they may want to say, hey, we have a target audience or an audience that we want to capture or speak to. The person is really doing something interesting in that realm of things, which is why you see certain brands go with certain studios because they're known for certain styles, or you may have them working with certain influencers because they feel that they can speak directly to their audience too. So
Right.
yes, personal branding is just one of those things that helps people to get to know you. And like we're all as we're shopping or looking for stuff, we want stuff that we can associate with and be able to make that connection with another person. So even with brands, we want to be able to make that connection. So yeah,
Agreed. And one of the biggest things for me, right, as being like a leader in marketing and stuff, is that your portfolio isn't enough anymore. Just sending
yeah,
clients your link isn't enough. Like one of the big things that I like about your platform or your profile, especially on LinkedIn and stuff, is that you had content there. And then I've been connecting, like when I was hiring for videographers, so many people didn't have their content on LinkedIn. And then
mm,
I'm like, so it really made it hard to find like a good quality candidate because their work was like gated or it was on a website. Either their website wasn't even like formatted correctly or it didn't really show all of their skills, or maybe not all, but majority of them. Or
uh-huh,
sometimes they don't even have the type of work that you're looking for. So their portfolio is not that diversified. But if your portfolio is not that diversified, I would love to see how you think. So for me, I want to see like engagement posts that you're engaging on,
yeah,
LinkedIn. I want to see you reposting things, trending topics and stuff, right? Because that helps the person that's hiring you for the job basically help them understand that you get trends, you get concepts,
mhm,
and that you're not just one package fits all. That's why I hate, Chris, when people be like, I'm a SaaS designer. What is a SaaS designer? Like, I am a SaaS market. Like, what is that? That is some niche stuff that people just created. At the end of the day, you might have some designs that you like to make, right? You prefer, you do really, really
yeah,
well, right? But at the end of the day, to classify yourself as a SaaS designer, like that doesn't say what are your, what's the word that you used before? What's your disciplines? Like, I doesn't say a SaaS
yeah,
designer. I don't know if you like making infographics, if you like just doing one pagers, if you like to do like, motion videos, like what is that? So overall, I think creatives need to also be comfortable with showing their work on social platforms, even if it's B2B or not a project that you didn't like. You can just do like some clip notes on it or do some talking head videos on about the projects. But I think people want to connect. And when you're looking for other creatives and other designers to figure out their personalities and stuff, and they don't have anything on their page, anything on their socials, like especially LinkedIn, you can't expect for someone to just look at your website and be able to gravitate towards you, especially when you don't have the work that they're looking for on your portfolio. I don't know. How
exactly.
do you feel about that?
Oh no, that is absolutely right. I think it's even if let's say your portfolio, right? You are used to making explainer videos, and maybe that's not exactly what you want to be doing, but that is what
Yeah.
you have on your portfolio. Well, I would say yes for the sake of like making sure that you're working. Have that in your portfolio, but slowly start sharing more of the type of stuff that you really like doing. So maybe you want to do, maybe you really are into 3D products and doing promos for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But specifically in the tech space, maybe you want to just take on creating a personal project for yourself where you're showcasing a new set of headphones, or it could be a new laptop that Lenovo put out or something, or
Hmm.
whatever the brand is, right? So showcasing some of that kind of stuff just as a personal project and doing more of that.
And having a case
And
study.
possibly,
Right.
yeah, exactly, have a case study, maybe even some behind the scenes so people can see into your thought process. That stuff is important. And like you said, one
Yep.
thing that I know that I even, slack on sometimes is making sure to just engage with posts that resonate with you. Or if
Yeah.
somebody's speaking some truth to something, have something to say. Like spend a
Hmm.
little bit of time applying to comments if you made a post, or
Yep.
actually engaging with people online so that they know you're there too.
Yes, I agree. I strongly agree with that. So one of the things that I noticed, like on LinkedIn, is video content is being more boosted or amplified on the platforms. So it's so important for influencers, creators, all of us to have video content to expand our reach. So if you're saying, okay, I have this portfolio content, do a reel, even if it's old content, bring that up, rebrand that, and redistribute that and put that back out there. So you could work on projects like 3 months ago, do story times, like build out your social, build out your portfolio website. I'm not saying your portfolio is not needed, but also build on social, on LinkedIn, on TikTok. Have bodies of work on there, even if it's a dope intro that you made. So one of the things that I love that people do when I'm looking at like softwares or looking at different techniques to use, the DaVinci Resolve people, like they always put their intros on TikTok. They
Yeah.
be like, yo, look at this one I made. And I need for creatives, especially in the B2B space or any type of professional creatives, to take that same type of aesthetic and apply that to LinkedIn. And one person that I know that do a really, really good job at it, his name is Amsteady. And he's on LinkedIn and he does some amazing work. So I'll drop Amsteady link in the show notes as well for you guys to check out his profile. But he has a really, really great like intro project, who he is. And he dive like, and he just gives a high level of each project that he worked on and he put it on there. He introduced himself. And those are things that you kind of want to do, or even storyboarding and mapping that out. So your brand is everything. And right now, we got to start posting, guys. Our personal brands need to be strong. So therefore, it can build revenue for us. It can help build relationships, and it helps like clients and businesses and anybody that you're looking for understand who you are, and especially when they want that creative person and not somebody who is not really that creative and they're just going to take be an order board. Now some companies like an order taker, or not an order taker, or somebody who's just going to listen to what they say and they just want exactly what they say. Hey, I want a plain cheeseburger, that's it. But then you might run into the client and saying, hey, I want a cheeseburger, but then just create whatever with the cheeseburger. I want multiple toppings, I
Yeah, it's
want a
like
flavor.
they ask you.
Like,
Exactly. It's like where sometimes you may go to go to a particular restaurant, and as you said,
mhm.
that person may order. They know exactly what they want. Look, I want this. I want this cheeseburger here, American cheese.
Yeah.
I want it well done. I don't want any. I don't want any of this extra stuff here. Take out the tomato. Take out the onion. It's like, okay, you want a straight up plain cheeseburger. Gotcha. You may
Yep.
have the person
Yep.
that says, hey, yeah, I know I want to get a burger. What is it that you recommend? Like, what would you
Mhm.
say is like, what do you recommend off the menu? Like specifically it could be specifically in the burger section. It could be something else entirely where they are
Right.
looking for your opinion, because it's like you are the expert, or you work here, you know what's going on. Put me on game, basically, right? So
Yep.
yeah, it's exactly as you said.
Yeah, people want to know. Like some people want a creative strategist and some people may not. So at the end of the
Hmm.
day, if you treat your LinkedIn and your Instagram and stuff like your portfolio site in every project, so you break down your concepts, and you don't have to be in camera either. If you're not a camera shy person, you can just do like the talking head videos, or you can do the narration videos and stuff and just put your content out there and put your work out there. So Chris, let's talk about, so there's been a lot of stuff happening in the Google Alphabet ecosystem and all that good stuff. So YouTube,
Okay, okay.
we're going to talk about YouTube a lot, right? Or whatever and stuff in Google, because they launched so many things and episodes. But Brandcast 2026 was actually pretty creative. They had Trevor Noah present there for the show. And YouTube is doubling down on bringing like more shows to the platform for free, bringing that TV element to YouTube more, and with more curated shows. For instance, like what is something here? Like we have a second season of Squad Games coming out. Then we also have unscripted reality shows, travel and culture shows with Trevor Noah. So we all know that Trevor Noah stopped doing like the late night TV show. So now he's doing his own thing on YouTube, and that's good because it's free. So that's cool. And there's a bunch of more shows. So look at the 5 minute video brandcast as well. But one of the biggest things for creatives to think about when it comes to this is that YouTube is closing the gap and being more, I guess, like TikTok and Instagram, where they're building that creative ecosystem. So now YouTube is hyper focused on reducing the friction between seeing product and videos and purchasing instantly from the couch. Basically, YouTube is making it more convenient, trying to expand on product sales. But also from a creator standpoint, brands now can basically now put their ads directly on your content. So say for instance, if you did a video about shea butter, right? And you talked about some company that use shea butter soap or whatever, that brand now can go and look at your content and then go ahead and put their ads on their content that will help also amplify your money, your revenue, as well as they know that you're the type of audience that they want and they really like the content. So that means that also there's more brand deals that can be curated from there. And YouTube never really had a one ecosystem before for
Mm.
creators to basically just be there. So now I guess my question is like, did Brandcast like really surprise you, or basically, I guess what I want to really ask you is that, like, do you feel like YouTube is catching up to TikTok and Instagram? And do you think that is going to be a good advantage?
Mm. I In some cases, I think so, but I think they are also their own platforms for sure.
Yeah,
But like I know for me personally, I watch a lot of YouTube on this thing behind me, right? I
right.
like it's probably watch it more than like I do any of the streaming services for
Wait, so
sure.
you look at more YouTube on your TV more than your devices? Like,
I think
yeah.
so. So like if I'm sitting here at my computer, yeah, sometimes I got to remember to turn this off because otherwise I'm going to turn around and just be looking at that.
Interesting.
Yeah, but typically, like while I'm working, may have like a window up because I have two monitors, but I'll have a window
Mhm.
up where I may have podcast or like somebody's particular take on a product or an event or something that's occurred recently. Have that up. But if I'm just chilling, yeah, like I throw YouTube up on my TV, and I know that that's usually what it is, especially like in the evenings. Probably watch that more
Mhm.
than some of like unless I'm on a particular show from like Apple TV or Netflix or something. Yeah, that like YouTube on my TV is probably getting majority of my attention.
Interesting. See, I look at YouTube more on my iPad and then on a computer than the TV. I cut it on my
Mhm,
TV if I am tired of looking at regular TV and then I'm like, I want to see something different. Or I got into such the content on my devices to where it's like, okay, I want to see it on my TV. Or
mhm,
sometimes if I know like a creator that had a really good vlog and I know I can't see it on 4K because that's a whole nother conversation, because a lot of this 4K content, you cannot see it on your phone or your
yeah,
iPad or any type of device. So I know on YouTube TV, they will allow it to see, you can see more 4K content on YouTube when you look at it on the TV versus on your devices. And yeah. So that's interesting. So do you think this is going to be a big advantage? Do you think more creators are probably going to attract more to YouTube now that they have their own ecosystem with connecting with brands?
I think so. Like I see it as an opportunity if like people like me that are typically watching YouTube on their TV or I mean I guess any device for that matter. Like YouTube has a good portion of and like I know for me personally, the thing that probably comes as a benefit is that I don't like if I play a video, I don't get as distracted with all the thumbnails because it's like I'm
Yeah.
ADD.
Well, it says it's about 12 of total US television viewing is spent watching YouTube on TV. So about 12% of US television viewing time is on YouTube TV. That's what it's saying.
So I'm guessing majority of people are like on their phones viewing it.
So they say that here it says that, I mean, 12% out of what? 150 million Americans stream regular YouTube on their TVs. So that's a
So
big
it's
number. YouTube gets, I
15
think they're
million.
seeing like
Yeah.
what, over a billion people or 3 billion people from the US, I believe. I need to dig more into those stats. But right here it's saying basically over 150 million stream regular YouTube on their TVs monthly.
Hmm.
So that's 12%. So that's 150 people. That's a lot of people. And that's 12%. So that means
Yeah, you
YouTube is
talking
seeing a
about
lot of views there. So no, you're not the only one. People are definitely doing it. So
yeah,
it makes sense.
yeah.
So are
I
you a
just
shorts person or long form?
I'm shorts when when I'm on my phone. Like if it's something on my phone, it makes sense to just watch shorts that way. My TV, it
Okay.
just feels kind of weird. Like so I'm more of a long form content person. So
Yeah.
at least 6 or 7 minutes, the shortest
Okay.
amount of time I want to see on my TV. And sometimes the stuff is up to an hour and a half. Like I
Yeah.
sat and watched like an unboxing thing this morning for some TTRPG game. That's like super nerdy, but I was like, you know what? I want to listen to this girl talk about this stuff. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I just sat through and had it in the background, turned around. I was like, ooh, that's kind of interesting. Ooh, the artwork is real nice. I like that. I dig
Right.
that. So yeah. So it just
Yeah,
depends.
if the vlog is good or the unboxing is good, I'll watch the whole thing. If it's like an hour and a half, I don't really care. So
Yeah.
for me, I will always have it up, especially like if you're working or you're working on a project or editing or something, you can
Hmm.
have that going if you want to. So that's why I look at YouTube more so on my YouTube. I mean on my iPad more than anything over. And I
Okay.
do look at it on my phone, but on my iPad. So are you a YouTube premium person or are you just doing the free account?
And like it's just like once you go YouTube Premium, man, it's hard to because like sometimes
Yes.
I'll depending on my original like sign in was a Yahoo account. So
Mhm.
that one's I want to say that one is on the premium. A
Okay.
Gmail, I think my Gmail may be on the premium too. I can't remember, but no, for a while it was like when I would switch logins just to check my on my Google stuff on my Gmail when it wasn't under the premium, it was like I would forget and it would switch over to that profile on YouTube and it would be playing ads. And I'm like, wait, what? Nah.
What is this?
Yeah, I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
What's this doing here? So,
Yeah, I say it all the time. I'm like, yeah, I'm a premium. I couldn't the ads is too much. Like, I get it, and I'm a marketer,
it
so I
is.
should understand the ads, but sometimes if you're looking at a video, it'd be like 8 ads on like a 20-minute video. You're like, "Yo, what is this?" Like,
And it's like you're
"No."
you're you're kind of pulling me out of the whole experience here.
Yes, exactly. All right, so let's talk about Canva versus Adobe. This is like one of the hottest topics when in the creative space, especially with all the innovation that Adobe, well, Canva, I guess they both have a lot of new features that they've released and done. And but Canva
Yeah.
is really picking it up, trying to become like I feel like an industry standard or the new cool kids on the block. Now, I know, don't be in the comments, guys, talking crazy about Canva because I know how these Canva warriors are and they are strong out here, okay? I used to work with some and they live with Canva, they live on Canva. I'm not saying that Canva is bad. I'm not saying that it's good. I think it's all great, right? But at the end of the day, I've seen those conversations, especially on threads. It gets nasty on threads. Like,
Mm,
if you want to have this
yeah.
conversation, you want to trigger somebody in the creative space, you're like, oh, I prefer Canva over Adobe. Anybody who uses Adobe, they will have a heart attack. Like, what? You're not a real designer. Like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
It's because that's been the conversation for like the longest time. And I think what's interesting is that like before it just seemed like this binary thing. You were either using Adobe or you're using Canva. And I mean, I guess that's kind of one of the things that I know I was going to bring up or talk about was that, Adobe has had this like very strong hold on the creative industry for like the longest time simply because
Hmm.
they acquired of these smaller companies to build out what became the Creative Suite or, what's now known as Creative Cloud. And
Yep.
was, I know, I think they may have been one of the first to switch to the subscription software. I don't really
Hmm.
remember too many doing any other companies really doing that with their software or platform prior to 2012. I think that was when Adobe started the subscription for Creative Cloud. But
Yeah.
yeah, like it just became one of those things to where, it's like, okay, well, they're making it available. This is what I got to use because it's the only thing available. And then Canva comes along and starts making this easy to access, but like as this platform that's easy to access, whether you're starting out with a template or you're sort of doing something from scratch. I think it just became a new gateway for people that wanted to design something. And
Yeah.
so yeah. But with that being said, like Adobe, right? Adobe Creative Cloud, I think it was known as All Apps before, but it got rebranded to Adobe Creative Cloud Pro last year in June, like June 17th was when it happened. And they raised the price. So it went from, I want to say $59.99 a month the annual build plan to 69.99 a month.
Yeah.
And, those
That started an uproar.
yeah, it did. It did. Like, according to Livingstone Tech, that was a 16.7% increase they rolled out. So,
Mhm.
obviously, people weren't happy with that. I knew that was one of the things that turned me off. I was like, "Dang, oh, like, you were just making this, like, ridiculous for no reason." Right?
Yeah.
And I know some may argue that, like, "Well, there's not really much of an alternative for the type of stuff I'm doing." Right? But
Not now there is.
there is. And I will say that the fact that, Adobe is also, they settled for $150 million federal lawsuit back in March. So March 2026,
Yeah.
DOJ and FTC called them out for hiding the cancellation fees within
Yeah.
the fine print and just making it extremely difficult to cancel. So placing all these hurdles in the way, throwing up barriers for you to, it's like, hey, well, we can have you jump back in if you do this here,
Mhm.
or, just delaying the process, you saying calling them to cancel, leaving you on hold. So, yeah, just a lot of stuff going on. And, I think the big drawback was if you were on that annually billed monthly plan, you could owe up to 50% of the remaining months if you canceled early.
Mhm.
So I think you're talking about around like maybe $419. And it's just
Yeah.
like, dang, I'm not even, if I got to pay that much, shoot, I might as well stay on. And that was the thing I think a lot of people
Mhm.
did. But with Canva now, Canva Pro, I think sits at like currently $15 a month. So if you look at the,
Yeah.
the price gap here, you're talking about 800 and something dollars a month versus what? By the time it's
150, I think.
150, 180, I think maybe is what the
Yeah.
math is after taxes and all that. So, you're getting something really nice out of the deal there. Like, especially
Mhm.
now that they've acquired, what is it? Affinity, the Affinity suite. So
Yeah.
it's making, I think them doing that. I know a lot of people were kind of cautious or worried about it, but when Canva announced that they were acquiring Affinity and then rolled out new Affinity suite,
Mhm.
they really became a major player. I like within, this and the creative tools or the creative suites that people are using. And I also want to say that they acquired Cavalry, which is an animation software. So while I know, like for me, I
And it's
use,
free.
yeah, yeah,
At that, it is free.
them making these Pro Tools free. You can't beat that. Now, of course, if you want to go into some more of the pro features, and I want to say on Canvas side, it's more of some of the AI implementation,
Yeah.
and then there's a bit more of a cost, but
Mhm.
still nowhere near is what Adobe's charging you.
I think gone are the days where you have to stay now with a lot of these legacy tools. Like you can
Yeah,
still be creative and use some of these more newer tools like Canva now because they're with Canva adopting what Affinity Designer. Now people have options and Affinity Designer is really, really good. It's very similar to
yeah.
Illustrator and you can still have those different file types so you can go from if somebody's using Adobe and you're using Affinity, you can still work together on projects.
Pretty much. And it's like, so I remember getting the Affinity Suite back before Canva acquired them and during the pandemic, because I was like, you know what? Who knows? Maybe one day I'll need this stuff. And
Mhm.
I think to jump in, it's the keyboard shortcuts are similar, so it's not much of a transition or like a steep learning curve. I guess that's the word. It's not much of a steep
Yeah.
learning curve as you're trying to make that transition. Yes, there'll be some things that are different, and you're just out of familiarity. You may go, oh, well, I don't know. You may be afraid to jump because of you've been with Adobe for so long. This is your
Mhm.
boo. This is what you know. So I would say it's worth a try. So if we break down the pricing here, it currently stands with Adobe Creative Cloud, have a CC Pro or the All Apps Creative Cloud Pro for the individual is currently sitting at $69.99 a month on the build annual plan. If you But they
Mhm.
also broke it into two tiers, which was kind of weird because they didn't have it like this before, at least from what I remember. So CC Pro, $69.99 a month. You have EC Standard for the individual at $54.99 a month. The difference there is you still get the software, but it's primarily just the desktop apps and less of the AI implementations or like some of the generative tools like Firefly and access to the credits. You don't have that. So that's where standard is currently sitting.
Yeah.
Photography plan, which includes Photoshop and Lightroom, plus I want to say 1 terabyte of their storage is $19.99 a month. If you're looking to get a single app, say for instance, you're an editor and you want to just use Premiere, it's $22.99 a month. And this is what's I find kind of interesting. Students and teachers, the first year is $19.99 a month, which isn't bad. But after that first year, it automatically jumps up to $39.99 a month. So it's like if you aren't paying attention or aren't careful, didn't read that, that could come as give you sticker shock there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you just see that come out your account, you're like, "Whoa, what happened?"
Right. So with Canva though, on the other hand, you have your free tier. You can't beat that. Just especially if you're brand new with design, or maybe you are a designer but you need access to some design tools. Canva's free. They do have a pro tier, I said, which is $15 a month or $14.99 a month. Canva Teams, if you have 5 or more people, still $14.99 a month per person. So you can't beat that deal. And that the fact that they have Affinity as a design suite made available to you for free, that is the
Mhm.
game changer. So what I would say is that if
Yeah.
you are like, now where this may come into play is like, who is this for, right? I would suggest that if you are a beginner or a student, or maybe even a content creator, go with
Mhm.
Canva. I think that's your best bet. Go with the Canva, the Affinity suite. And if you're needing to do some edits, maybe pick up Vinci Resolve.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with those. They're
Yeah.
made available to you for free. And even if you are getting their tier stuff, you're still like, I think Resolve is like $300 one time purchase if you
Yeah.
need the pro, but so much is made available to you for free. So use those free tools.
So can I
If you
throw a wrench in there though?
Okay, yeah, let's hear
Because
it.
you have Apple Creative Studio, and I'm testing that out now. And Final Cut and using what is this, Pixelmator?
Hmm.
Pixelmator does the same thing. It's similar to Affinity Designer, and it's one
Okay,
app. I don't
okay,
know, and it's cheaper. It's on that same on that tier plan of Canva, because Canva, I'm looking up this and it's saying Canva is like 120 for the annual price for Canva Pro. But
okay.
then so Canva is cheaper, like you're saying, if you're just doing content creation, and you can do that. But also Apple Creator Studio with all of those Apple Creator tools, Final Cut, Freeform, Pixelmator. So I feel like you
The
think now it's
options
about preference on the tools. Like which one do
for
you like
sure,
the most?
for sure.
And
Yeah,
I
and
will say this though about Canva. I think there is a little difference from professional work, Chris, when it comes to certain things, because I will
Mhm,
say, like, I made one pagers, like in my last job, we had Canva and I had Adobe, right? I had to
mhm,
separate. Now, I did when I need to make a more, I would say like Canva is good, but when you need to make like more print stuff, if you're taking like the FedEx, even though Canva does print, it is
mhm.
best to kind of have like that Illustrator type of file when
Yeah,
you're going into, I mean, you're creative. So that would be the CYMK. Right.
and device.
So basically, I found it that sometimes when you're printing from Canva, from just like a Canva web design, because I think people be making it like for digital and then they try to convert it over to print and it doesn't sometimes always work out. I think
Mhm,
sometimes you do have to create in those more advanced tools. So you should go to Affinity Designer. So I
yeah,
think definitely Canva is a good start outside of, I think it's the perfect alternative too,
yeah,
especially now with their new features with magic layers. Like they added so much stuff, some advanced tools into the platform that wasn't there before. And I think that's where all of that big hype, like, oh, this is for amateurs. But you can really scale a lot of content, especially like print, social media posts, and all that other stuff in Canva really, really fast.
yeah,
Faster
yeah.
than what you can do in InDesign or Illustrator.
Right. So to kind of, I guess, like kind of put a bow on this bit, right?
Mhm.
I would say if you are a beginner, a student, or content creator, definitely consider Canva, the Affinity Suite, and what Canva has to offer. You can't go wrong with that. It's $14.99 a month if you're wanting any of the pro free features, or it's free. These professional tools are made free to you to use forever. Right? And then if you are a freelancer, or you're just working out, I want to say it depends. It depends on what you're doing. So, like, if you
Yeah.
are specifically doing design related stuff, I would say go with Canva. If you're like a photographer and you have, you are really into editing certain photos, it could still depend. You may want to use something like Lightroom or another alternative for editing photos. In my case, though, like as a motion designer, I would say it kind of puts you in a rough spot because yes, you have other tools, but like Cavalry would be a good example. But there are some features that are missing there. So yes, you may have to, there's not one program specifically if you're trying to do motion design. You may have to jump between something like Cavalry and Vinci Resolve to find a balance and maybe some other tools like Blender too, to do some things when it comes to doing motion graphics and some compositing things if need be. So it really depends. I want to say
Yeah.
it's not as easy to make that transition if you are specifically on the side of motion like I am. Now, if you're an
Yeah.
agency or motion pro, and you're doing all this like insane stuff from a high industry level, yeah, you may want to, unless you have like a say, I would say you might want to just stick to Adobe for now. It just makes more sense because that is the industry standard, and majority of industry is still using Adobe products. And
Yeah.
until majority of companies and the industry adopts things like Affinity, like Magic software, and other Blender and other things, then we may see that shift. So I would just say it just all comes down to where you fit in the category. Beginner, Canva. Content creator, Canva. If you're a freelancer, depends. Either you have the option between both. Then if you're a studio or an agency, likely using Adobe. So see what's
So,
cost
question
effective
for
for you.
you.
Yeah.
So let's keep it spicy. Look, give me your, as you are, because Chris, y'all, is a very professional, right? He does it all. Give me rate the video tools basically from beginner to advanced. In your opinion, as a professional, motion graphic designer, video editor, you do all that other stuff that maybe someone should consider. Like, right? I'm a content creator and I'm seeing I'm seeing Final Cut, DaVinci Resolve, I'm seeing a CapCut. What else? I'm seeing Premiere, right? It's not Premiere Pro anymore. It's Premiere or whatever and stuff. And I'm seeing LumaFusion that's out there. What else is another video editor that's out there? Those are the top ones that's out there,
Yeah.
right? And stuff. So what would you rank from, let's just say, I think I named 5 of them. So which one did you recommend somebody like start off for just beginning?
So just starting off, or you're just beginning, I would say, for what I remember that you named, probably CapCut. I would say start with something.
Interesting.
I would say something like CapCut.
Okay.
If you don't know much about, for the person that doesn't know much about editing, I know that there's
Yeah.
like things like InShot and some others, but like CapCut for me was like Canva. I viewed it
Yeah.
as Canva or similar to Canva, because I'm like, what the heck is this thing, man? Here we go. You have people that don't know what they're doing. Look at this. It's easy to use stuff, till I decided one day I was going to just try it out. And I
Yeah.
actually did a campaign for a brand, and I ended up using CapCut as the edit. I mean, I did all of the motion work using Adobe stuff and then drop edit into CapCut and was like, I wonder if I can get away with this. And they loved it. So I was like,
Yeah.
dang, national campaign was edited in CapCut. So look,
When CapCut came out, Chris, everybody was using CapCut. Like, well, not everybody. I would say, I would say most of the social media videos and production stuff was all done. Like, I would say, yeah, most social media videos were done on CapCut. And I know like studios that was using CapCut just for all of the animation stuff because a lot of people didn't know how to use After Effects. So it was easier to do it in CapCut.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So yeah, CapCut as maybe like the entry point. Then, or I guess
The
you could
plot.
go with a DaVinci Resolve now, because it also is
DaVinci Resolve, not
it's
for,
but I would say it is
it's an advanced tool, Chris.
yes,
It's
it is an
yeah.
advanced tool in the sense that it's capable of doing a lot. There are people
Yeah.
editing feature films using this software, right?
Right.
So it does have a lot under the hood, but it makes it more appealing that it's free. So
Yes.
I guess if we're not looking at price point just yet, then I would
Yeah.
say CapCut maybe to start off with. What was the other ones you named? 'Cause I like
Premiere, Final
Premiere.
Cut Pro, LumaFusion, and DaVinci Resolve. Because you already took CapCut off of there.
Okay. So I would probably say, because I can't remember whether I've used much of LumaFusion, but I would say maybe LumaFusion next from what I remember. So CapCut,
Yeah.
LumaFusion, or I would do it the other way around. But because I'm a little bit more experienced in CapCut, I chose that first. So CapCut, LumaFusion, Final Cut, Beer, and then maybe DaVinci Resolve is like the top one, because although it is free, it is a completely different workflow when it comes to learning to edit, specifically when you're dealing with modes for things like color correction, or
That
dealing
confused me
things
for the
with like
longest.
like it's some advanced stuff. So yeah, that would be my ranking.
Okay, interesting. I would say I think people should start off with Premiere. I think starting
Hmm.
off with Premiere only
Just
because
jumping right in.
I feel like now that I've learned Premiere first, and I feel like Premiere is super easy to learn from a video, like just doing match cuts, all those type of things. But now that I've been learning Final Cut Pro,
Hmm.
I feel as though that Final Cut Pro is really, really good and it's easy on the iPad. Their CapCut, I'm taking CapCut off the table for me because when CapCut went down, that showed a lot of their flaws and I want something reliable. So for me, I don't even consider them. So if I had to go
Okay.
with something for free, of course, I'll say DaVinci Resolve because DaVinci Resolve is free if you had to use something for free. Adobe is now on your iPhone to create. My goodness, it's so easy. They made this so easy, and I love that it's free because they were competing with CapCut and stuff. So it's free for the iPad, and there it's so easy to edit on there. So I would definitely say if you have to pay for something, I would probably go a Premiere or Final Cut Pro. Chris, let me ask you one question before we close out that topic is about, especially about the creator tools, is do you feel like creatives should stick with one tool, one ecosystem?
I would say no, especially in today's time. This goes back to, I guess, the point we made earlier. Is it enough to only know one thing? Like one discipline rather, right? Like just
Mhm.
just plain old graphic design for billboards and magazine ads. Is it enough to just do
Right.
that? So I would say having a wide breadth of knowledge of many different topics, or at least several, when it comes to your, I guess, the career you're in, or at least your discipline, right? I would be multidisciplined, but also using multiple pieces of software. So, hey, maybe you do know Affinity Suite. Go ahead and try out DaVinci Resolve, or as you say, Apple Studio and Final Cut. Like,
Yep.
be okay with knowing a bit of both, or knowing more than one thing. You may want to try and see if you like designing, mocking up product packaging in Blender, something like Blender, to help your design stand out a little bit more. So maybe you want, like, that's free, right? So
Mhm.
may find an interest there. So yeah, I would just say that being multidisciplined and having some knowledge across the board when it comes to multiple programs is necessary at this point. So don't just
And
be,
I'm choosing
yeah, go ahead.
sorry. I'm choosing balance. I want my video editors to understand sound design. That's all I'm
Mm.
saying. That's all I'm saying. Because the video editors don't wanna do sound design.
Yeah, so
I don't do sound.
to that point, I would say, like, again, having an understanding of multiple disciplines. Once you do, I think that knowledge carries over. Like, so I've used one, like, I'm gonna bring up 3D for instance. I've used Maya when I was in school, like prior to going to Full Sail. While I was in Full Sail, I used Cinema 4D. That's kind of like Maxon is the industry standard for a lot of motion graphics with 3D. But I
Mhm.
made the switch to Blender a few years back, like maybe 3 years ago. And it's been interesting to see that knowledge transfer over. Like, so it's like once you have an understanding of how to model or create certain things, you just got to
Yep.
learn the hotkeys when it comes to some of the stuff. So I would say the same thing applies to whether you started out with Adobe, or maybe you did start out with Canva or Affinity. Stuff applies and vice versa. So I want to say if you have the fundamentals there, that's
Yep.
probably the word I'm looking for. You have the fundamentals, knowledge will carry over no matter what software you're using. So
Yeah, I agree. Now, a lot of creators, if you look at some social media people too, a lot of people are using different tools. So we're going to be dropping new episodes every 2 weeks. So you got to follow me on YouTube as well as Chris on a podcast. And we're going to be having more trending topics, talking about what's going on in the industry, news, things. We're going to eventually get into testing out more AI tools, right? The hype with AI tools.
yeah.
Google dropped so many AI tools, right, Chris? Like
Mhm.
you can do so many things. And we're going to be like dropping links to like tools that you should be using for free and testing it out because I think we really need to consider while AI is like on, just dominating everything, everybody want to just put AI in our face. I think that there is a productivity level that creators should definitely understand about AI. And we want to break it down.
100%.
All right, y'all. Well, we'll see y'all on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe and then
Yes.
share this episode. And then we'll be dropping more content in about next week, every other Thursday. Right, Chris?
Every other Thursday. So what's that? See you in 2 weeks or so? Two
Yeah,
Thursdays
or a
from
week.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 Thursdays from now. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we are out.
See you.